Hi everyone, welcome to the latest Liquidware Chats. This is a very special episode. This is our first ever Liquidware Chats live. And I'm delighted to be joined by Bjørn Riiber and Dave Fiske from Nerdio. We have a conversation around their careers in EUC, then we look at the general state of the EUC industry. We also look at the main IT challenges that Nerdio helps you with. And then to finish, as always, we talk about the impact of AI on EUC. Really hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks very much. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the first ever Liquidware Chats live podcast. So really excited to be here. And we have joining us, we have Bjørn Riiber and Dave Fiske from Nerdio. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello, awesome. Thanks for inviting us.
Can't complain about anything. Looking forward to this session.
Excellent. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. Bjørn, obviously we met 2 weeks ago in Barcelona when some of us, we managed to get home eventually.
Yeah, I was delayed 5.5 hours at the airport. Had a connection in Frankfurt. Had to stay a night over. Arrived Monday about noon. So yeah, it's when you are a traveling monkey like us, James, is just the thing that you get used to, but you never like it, but you get used to it. It is what it is.
Yeah. Me and another guy from Ireland, Ronnie, we just hung out at the airport with the soap guys. So we had a bit of fun, and I got home at like 2 a.m. that night on the Sunday. So, but then I heard on the Monday things were even worse. So we were lucky. So. Yeah, as I said, I've met you, Bjørn. Dave, it's great to meet you. We've been obviously talking for a couple of weeks now. So yeah, really good to meet you finally. So just to kick us off, we'll start with you, Bjørn. Can you give me a bit of background on how you came to be in this wonderful world of EUC? And you can keep it short. You don't have to go into full detail. Okay. Just a synopsis of it.
1st of December, I've been in the IT industry for 30 years. 25, almost 30, 26 of them have been in the EUC. So I started back in 98, and I was doing portals, internet, extranet, intranet sites, and one of the guys said we have a host Citrix host solution. So here is the ECA protocol. I would like you to embed it in the intranet so people can start applications from the web browser. That was the first time I was starting even looking at EUC stuff, and I found the Citrix technology back in 99 so interesting. So I kind of swapped from portals to Citrix technology. So been working my whole adult life on Citrix and mostly on Microsoft because everything is run on top of Microsoft. So that is where it all started. So I met my hero and mentor in life, work life, Mark Templeton. Then he was like, when you have met Mark Templeton and listened to what he has to say as a leader and thought leader, and also as a human, I was sold for end user computing. So I was like 10 years working for different platinum partners. I joined Citrix back in 2010 in the Microsoft Alliance team as a technology specialist. So working for Citrix for 10 years. I left them, kind of lost belief. Sometimes you do. And I thought, okay, I'm done with EUC now. So I took a break from EUC and tried management for hire. So I was an IT manager for 1.5 years. That was awesomely a lot of fun. Now I could put everything I have taught other people to do in real life. So that was fun. But you have good friends and bad friends. And one of my bad friends called me and said, would you like to be a product owner for AVD? And I was like, okay, I've been out of Citrix for 3 years. I can do that. So I was working for an infrastructure as company, infrastructure as code company, where we did used AVD as a delivery mechanism of cloud transformation projects, and did that for a year. And then I had some other bad friends calling me from Nerdio and say, Bjørn, you should join us. And of course, it's how it's done in this, right? People call you and you look into technology and say, hey, I always liked Microsoft, always been a Microsoft dude. Even my daughter works for Apple. She's still my daughter. I can't refuse to talking to her. But it's like, okay, always been a Microsoft dude. So I was like looking at Nerdio and saw how beautiful they were doing AVD, because we laughed off Windows Virtual Desktop. We kind of said it's not good enough. 2 years later, AVD were there, and I saw what Nerdio could do, and like I all sit right. Oh, I talked to my friends from VMware, EUC, now Omnissa, and I was like, all these guys need a tool like Nerdio to do AVD with. So I was like, hell yeah. And Larry Sweeney and Joseph Landis gave me the opportunity to be a community guy now in product marketing team, sitting and driving along with Dave, driving the community, our MVP program, who's soon going to be released in version 2.0. So it's like my whole life I've been a community guy. Started with Citrix User Group back in 2001, which is the first and the oldest one, and probably one of the most famous one. Maybe due to our parties and the suit, but yeah, what I said I'm tumbled into the EUC, and the community drive me. Whatever I have learned is thanks to different communities, attending as a speaker, as attendees to events, sitting and talking to community friends all over the world when we meet. One thing you can learn is during the sessions, but the most important thing is lunch, dinner. In old days, in the bar until they close the bar. Now you get to bed before 12 due to the age. So that is my end user journey. I was like hooked by Mark Templeton, met the community, and everything there has been like a fairy tale. So been doing EUC for 25 years plus.
That's cool. And I've never had the pleasure to meet Mark Templeton. I've obviously seen several of his presentations and that, but never personally had it. So that's really, I know how inspirational like a person he is. So yeah, that's very cool. Dave, what about yourself?
My story is not a whole lot different than Bjorn's. I started back 9/9/99 was actually my first day doing Citrix work.
Oh, just in time for the millennium. Oh,
yeah, well,
excellent.
actually, I had to work at 6 a.m. Just after that. I worked for a bank, and had to make sure that all the WinFrame servers were still up and running. So yeah, I started back in the day of before it was called EUC. And I remember one day somebody said, "Hey, you drank the Kool-Aid," and I'm like, "No, I'm making the Kool-Aid. Like I'm making the dream happen for people." So that's kind of where I started with my stuff. And in fact, when I first applied for the job for is a Citrix admin job, I didn't even know what Citrix was. I'd never heard of it. I was just leaving college, and I asked my boss, who I worked for in IT at my college that I went to, and I'm like, "Hey, what's Citrix?" He's, you know what PC Anywhere is, or PC Duo? And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's kind of like that." I'm like, "All right." So that's kind of how I got into that, and since then I worked for a variety of industries. I worked for Compaq Computer back in the day. Worked for some energy companies and banks and telcos, and I've always found value in what we do, because what EUC does for the business is it allows the business to focus on what they need to do to get done, in order to make sure that they're successful in what they do. So that's really the pride that I put into EUC, and I got the opportunity to work at Citrix just like Bjorn did. I started in 2010, and ironically, I never met Bjorn until last month, and I worked for Citrix for 11 years. So that was kind of fun to meet up with him, because we knew all these same people. And in fact, somebody that I met from Liquidware, his name's Johnny Ma. he was at the show, and I'd never met Johnny. I reached out to him. He actually gave me this. I got this cool hat that James told me that he doesn't have yet. So
No, I don't have one yet. Yeah.
But
I'll
anyway,
get one, but I don't have it yet.
So coming back to community, like Bjorn had said, when I reached out to Johnny on LinkedIn, and by the way, I'm on LinkedIn. Dave Fisk, Bjorn's on LinkedIn. We're there a lot. James, I know you're out there, but Johnny Ma and I have 149 common connections. We don't live in the same state, the same region. So this is a small world, and we're all here to help each other. In fact, I'm looking at the attendees, and I have a former customer of mine who's attending right now, and so I want to shout out to Matt for that. So thanks for joining.
Excellent. Yeah, no, you're right. That is the one thing I think that is quite unique about EUC is it is very yes, it's global, but at the same time, the community is quite. I probably have your 149 connections that you share with Johnny. I have most of them probably, because we all know each other, and this is the thing. There has been a lot of flux in the industry recently, and that's one of the things I want to ask you guys about. Like, what's your opinion of the current state of where the industry is at the moment? Like, we've obviously had two of the biggest vendors in the space go through a lot, through through their transformation to private companies. What's been your kind of view of that, and in general, how the kind of landscape of EUC has changed? If you want to start on that one, Dave.
Yeah, sure. Like just like Bjorn, I kind of lost some hope in EUC for a little bit. And I actually went over to the UEM side. Ironically, I worked for Avanti for a while, and I really enjoyed that. And actually, I can see the synergies of all those together. And then I had the opportunity to come back to the EUC side, and it's really exciting. It's reinvigorating. A lot of things have changed actually within the last 3 years since I left Citrix, and a lot of that has to do with cloud technologies or other people getting other companies, vendors out there becoming more table stake for enterprises or companies just in general. I know we've got some competitors sitting on the line here, and I want to welcome them because they're part of the community as well. So kind of how I see it is we're all here to help each other. And it doesn't matter if you're, Omnissa, VMware, Citrix, Nerdio, whoever it might be. That's from our side, right? And then from your side, Liquidware, and you got your own competitors and partners, and we do a lot of work together. And if we push each other and help each other out, everybody's going to be successful. And then you can pick whatever is best solution for you out there. It used to be Citrix was the only way to go, or if you were a VMware person, VMware was the only way to go. And now there are some choices out there that make you say, rethink anyway. Is that the right way to go all the time? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe you can change it up, or maybe it's a complete shift, which I don't really see a complete shift yet, but it could happen. I don't see the future. I don't try to pretend that. So Bjorn, go ahead.
Yeah, I have the same view, but it's kind of shocking if you're going 5, 10 years, 10 years back in time. It's a long time, but it's like Citrix won and number one on UC. VMware was doing great, improving day by day, catching up. But it's like Citrix was the number one, and technology-wise, they are doing very well. I haven't been able to take a look at Omnissa that much lately, but it's like it's the shift to cloud maybe disrupt some of the focus and business, and certainly things starting to go faster than faster than faster. Like you couldn't even continue to drive IT the way you have been driving IT for the past 10, 20, 25, 30 years. So a lot of companies didn't jump on the knowledge training as fast as they should. They should maybe hold on to implement those new changes, but technology-wise, they should have started the shift and planned what's going to happen in the future. And of course, when private equity company comes in and takes over, like, you are doomed. They have the blueprint for how they're going to do it. Just look at the history of IT. How private equity companies, some of the private equity comes in, they have a blueprint. They're going to lay off people. They're going to change. They're going to take it off the stock exchange. They're going to change the way they do business and have a new strategy going forward. Is exactly what's happened to Omnissa and to Citrix. So it's like, if you get sentimentally, you kind of, okay, the old Citrix I loved is like gone. It's not there anymore. Not the culture. I have a lot of friends still working for the company, and I wish them all the best in life. They're still going to be my friends forever, because friends will be friends, and technology will only be technology. But to see this the disruption and kind of, I feel sorry for the customer, because they are now in a squeeze of, okay, I'm going to renew. Do I believe in the old company I've used for 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Yes or no? If the answer is no, they have a very short window to transform to another platform there. If not, they're going to be kind of squeezed in. So I feel sorry for the customer who has got into the position, but some of the customers should have seen it coming earlier than they did, and not waiting for the big bang. So the disruption there, but you still see the same companies around the technologies, like Liquidware is there, ControlUp is there, Liquid is there, Agile is there. All the companies like Tensig and Remote Tree, and all the companies who have been around in the EUC, they are still there, and they are also seeing a shift, and now have another different type of alliance with the new kids on the block, because it's coming a lot of new vendors into the market with cloud natively. But and that is quite interesting to see how the whole shift have going from on-prem to cloud only. And now you see the HDI, for example, Azure Stack is like, okay, but due to regulations, we need to have this workload going on-prem due to regulations, but we might push 60, 70, 80% of our solution, host that in the cloud, but have like 5, 10, 15% on a HCI solution. So now it's starting to shift back again from cloud to like, okay, but we still need to have something. And some of those customers who have that strategy or the view of the strategy, saying that they probably have so much tech debt that they will not be able, or the return of investment or total cost of ownership of rewriting those applications, because at the end it's always going to be about the applications. So they don't have the opportunity to do that shift fast enough, or it's going to be too costly to kind of reduce the core of an old line of business applications from the old one to the new one. So you will see a kind of shift now. Is like, okay, it's going to be kind of hybrid out there for many customers.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hybrid is definitely what we're seeing at Liquidware. You know, a lot of customers, some of our customers, they run air gap systems. They're never moving to cloud, so that's just not happening. So you do, and we've seen it with certain vendors as well, like who went full on the cloud first, and now they've gone back to, actually no, we're doing the same. We're giving you feature parity across on-prem and cloud, and I think that's the case, because we can get into it now, actually, because one of the things, obviously, with Nerdio is helping overcome those IT challenges that we see with AVD/cloud. So maybe if you guys want to go into some of those challenges, obviously the big one is cost with cloud, because you can be stung really badly for costs, and you guys have a lot of measures within Nerdio to kind of assist with that.
Yeah.
If I can start, Dave, before we're talking about cost, I would say that the biggest issue for many of our customers is to kick off an AVD project, how to start it, how to implement it, and how to have it day 2 after you have implemented it. So it's like we do that in an extremely easy, flexible way. So before you even start to think about reducing cost with Nerdio, we can help you get up to speed with the same knowledge. As I always say to customers and prospect and partners, if you have slightest idea how to set up or operate a Citrix environment or Omnissa environment, you will understand and be able to use Nerdio in a day or 2. No doubt. It's so easy. We do something in Nerdio we call innovation days. And at the end of that day, we have a competition. Those guys who are old Citrix guys or Omnissa guys, they've always been compared to those who is like natively born AVD, Azure portal kind of stuff, because they see it and they were like, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to set up a host pool. I'm going to change the value. I'm going to do all these steps you need to do in the competition. Those guys always win that competition because it's the fastest one who wins. So those guys are there. So if you have a basic knowledge about how it used to work, Nerdio are going to help you. And Dave can talk about how great we are when it comes to cost optimization.
Yeah. So I was going to add a little bit to that. So you mentioned something about hybrid, right? The on-prem versus cloud, and cloud you can get stung, and I'll mention that. But we also have an on-prem version with Azure Stack HCI. So if you're running Azure Stack HCI on-prem, Nerdio has full capabilities with that. So the feature parity part, I don't remember, one of you mentioned something about feature parity, cloud versus on-prem. We have that today.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things I want to give a great plug and shout out is with Liquidware, we have something called scripted actions, where we can tie directly into your GitHub and implement Liquidware scripted actions into our solution natively, right? That's a great way for us to, okay, we're going to say that's going to save some costs, right? Because there's not a lot of learning curve. We can take advantage of the two technologies. But the one thing that I really want to call out is something called the advisor, the Nerdio advisor. And some people will call it a modeler. A modeler is a module within inside the advisor, and that will help you learn. Okay, here's my VMs that I have, my users. Here's the costs that it's gonna take if I run it natively without doing any optimizations inside of inside of Azure. So we can say, okay, we can turn down VMs when they're not being used. Now you can do some of that within Azure natively. We can take it a next step further. We also have the ability to shrink disks or offload disks from high performance, which is where you want them when users are on it, and put them on low performance when nobody's there, because you're always paying for storage. Even if you shut that VM off, you're paying for storage. You're not paying for the VM anymore. So we can help you with those costs. So that's kind of where some of our cost savings comes into play. The other part is the cost of when you buy the technology, you start paying for it right away, right? So we help you. We have guides that we actually have customer success stories out there that say we were up and running from nothing to something, or nothing to production in a matter of hours, not days or weeks, and not necessarily needing consulting services to come in. Sometimes that's required, right? Like there's a lot of design aspects that you have to put into play with, where's your data set and all that other stuff. So I won't get into a lot of that, but I wanted to call that out as some of our cost savings capabilities. And we keep talking about AVD. We also support Windows 365. So we have that full capability. of managing that, as well as managing your virtual machines as well. So taking advantage of Intune, we can manage that with inside of our portal too.
Yeah, that's excellent. And you mentioned the scripted actions, and obviously one of the ways we help on the Liquidware side is that you can get your disk, your profile disk down to such a small size, because you can remove the applications from it. So you can have your base applications, your offices and things, and then you can just bring in as you want what are the applications you require. So then you're just not managing multiple images. You've got to sit,
Right.
you can get down to, we say you can get down to a single image. And obviously that has reduces admin overheads and that kind of thing. So I think, as you said, Dave, there's a really good story between Liquidware and Nerdio together. And we have done quite a bit of stuff. Myself and Gavin have done Gavin Conley, your EMEA field CTO, have done quite a bit together. So it's not just cost savings, it's time savings. And I think that's the thing as well.
And you see the whole shift of what used to be the image sprawl back in the days, where companies had like 16, 17, 18 images they had to maintain to keep update. Security wise, you can't do that in a good way in today's world. And I'm totally agree with you. Both Dave and I was at an event a couple of weeks ago together, and they had the discussion of how to build a golden image. It's like, and at the end it was like, you're going to build a golden image for them, then you're going to build a golden image for them, and then you're going to build a golden image for them. It doesn't work that way anymore.
No.
That's time is gone. Group policies is gone. Golden to too many images is gone. It's like you're gonna have one, and you're gonna keep it as secured as you can. You can even use CIS that just to keep the image so secure and so fresh and so easy to update. And then you have to handle the application on a total different level. I know that most companies doesn't like to keep the track of all the applications. When you ask them, they have totally control of the applications. No, don't you worry. But at the end, that it would take time with the end user computing project, because getting control of the application, installing it right, use the right format, distribute it right, that is what is taking the longest with any project. So, and we see it, we have case studies where Outokumpu in Finland, who they didn't even have the installation media for the application, so they had to withdraw it. So that has just a perfect example of how cloud and the new modern way of running IT has changed the last 5 years.
Can I add on to that a little bit?
Of course.
All right. So that how to build a golden image session, I thought was interesting. Not that there was anything wrong with it, right? Like building it was just fine. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, we can do this, and we actually do it differently. So like if you're running on Omnissa or running on Citrix, you're used to like link clones or MCS, PVS. We don't do that. We actually will build that image every time. Well, we can build that image every time you boot that machine from scratch, and it's all scripted out. And I was playing in my lab the other day, and I was changing versions of Windows OSs and having it be exactly the same from that build of the Windows OS to the application install, the order, everything it's all scripted, built out, configured. So you can get that clean golden image every single time that you're building that machine up. You can say, I don't really care, I'm going to let it run forever. But we have that capability. And one thing I know we want to talk about AI, and I forgot to mention this when I was referring to the modeling advisor that we have, or the Nerdio advisor modeler, is we now have the capability to have AI auto scale. So auto scale allows you to say, okay, here's when I need machines on, here's when I need them off, and it'll actually show you. but we can also have an output. So a brand new feature that came out this week is it can go through and it can tell you, and I'm trying to read all the capabilities because it's new, but so it's intelligent recommendations, enhanced efficiency, cost optimizations, proactive management, and simplified optimization. We have AI generated things, and it will tell you time of day, whatever, to help you save that money, all through AI. And I know that was one of the topics.
Yeah,
we're
no,
gonna talk
it
about later,
was,
so.
and you bring up a good point there because obviously AI is huge. I do a lot of stuff with it and that, but also it's a lot of hype as well, and companies are just tacking on AI to anything. As I've said to several people, like, I don't want AI on my washing machine. I have no need for that. But if I'm talking about like in an EUC capacity, I saw a presentation by Bjørn and Gavin recently, and they were going through the AI advisor, and the thing I really liked about it was that it's recommendations. It's not taking actions, because I don't want AI to be taking actions yet. We're not at that level. I like the way it makes recommendations. They're always, for me, anything to do with AI requires human interaction. And I really like the way you guys have done your AI advisor stuff, in that it's just recommendations. So
yeah, just like I have a tons of Norway have the most Teslas in the world when it comes to citizens of Norway. Many of my friends is driving Teslas, and they all saying, yeah, but the car can drive itself. Every single time. Happened the week before. These are 3 weeks ago. We went on a trip, couple of us, and I was sitting along with my neighbor. He drives a Tesla, and he just in the middle of the road, no distraction, not whatsoever. He started to brake, and I was like, "Can you turn that beep off?" Because I don't trust it. It's just like if AI gonna decide. You still have to test it. You can't put it in production before you have tested it. So human interaction is there. So even if we know the technology is going to be good in the future, doesn't necessarily mean it's good today. But it's nice to see what it can do. But I don't want to experience it myself.
I have a very similar story to that. That I have two boys. They're about almost 19 and 22. One of them just went off to college, and literally when we were driving him to college, we were trying to get on the freeway here, and there was a Tesla, and I knew he was auto steering because he was talking with his hands, and he didn't change lanes for me to get on, so I had to speed up to get in front of him, right? And there was nobody there, right? It just doesn't. It's not smart enough. To your point, James, it's good, but you need to have that human interaction. So it wasn't smart enough to move over. And ironically, 30 seconds later, there was a construction zone where we had to merge over. So I'm in front of him. I merge over straight into the barrier. Dude wasn't even paying attention. I mean, took his Tesla right into the barrier. I mean, he was fine, right? It was just a wooden barrier, but that's AI is good, but it doesn't replace what we as humans have learned, and can make decisions based on things like that. And I made sure to tell my kid, hey, AI is great, but did you see what happened? He actually saw it in his rearview mirror too.
Exactly. I think that's the thing. Like, if you think about AI in the case of EUC, it's called end user computing. But if you think about how a computer would go, what's the most efficient way to run this server? Well, it's not with users on it. That's for a start. So you get an AI could say, I've got all these servers running perfectly, and then you say, there's no users logged in. What's going on? So I think it's an aid to what we do. It makes things easier. The one thing I think where AI really excels is, like, if you think about all the solutions, we have out there for monitoring and data and reporting, taking all of that data and doing analysis on it and creating trends, all of that kind of stuff. Or, you know, being able to say, oh, I've got this problem. Can you help? You know, so I think that's kind of where AI steps in. And you'll see more and more of that kind of AI type assistant built into pretty much every solution out there.
I use it every day for different things. I'll ask it questions. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. I used it to plan a trip to Europe. I'd never been there before. I'm like, hey, I need to do this, blah, 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 right? And it knows all the answers for you, or at least it helps you figure out what you want to do. And I don't want to bash on Tesla, because that's just my example story. But I also wanted to add, sorry, Bjørn. We have a thing called Copilot, just like everybody else, and it's kind of AI driven, but it really guides you along. So if you want to ask a question to it, say, hey, how do I do this? It only uses Nerdio resources in order for you to help get that answer. It doesn't go out and say, well, Gavin said I should do this. You know, Gavin works for us, but is on the internet, right? But if it's not in it's not in Salesforce, it didn't happen. If it's not in our documentation, it's not what we're going to recommend. And I just wanted to call that out. Go ahead, Bjørn.
I just when you're using AI to plan your vacation to Europe, you can do it easy. You can give me a call and I'm going to explain you what you're going to do.
Right.
And also, Europe's a big place. There's a lot to it.
Yeah. But AI at the moment is quite interesting, because the amount of power you need to utilize AI full potential, it's saying that it can't be done without the cloud. Now, Dave has Copilot AI PC, so he has a new version of clients. So you can do some locally, maybe more and more of agent who talks to different agents. So you have like 10, 15 AI agents on your computer, which can utilize some of the local hardware. But the big AI you need the cloud for, and therefore you see, why does Microsoft bet so much on Azure? Why is Google, Amazon, Alibaba, or an Oracle cloud? Why it's so important? Due to the power, because you can't run it on-prem in your own data center, because that is you need huge data center to drive to have the power to utilize AI. So then it means more and more things has to be moved to cloud. Everyone's saying that 2014 is the test year of AI. 2025, we're going to see more and more useful solutions with AI. My concern or thoughts is about how fast do we have to move everything to the cloud so we can utilize all the information we have and all the knowledge we have in AI going forward, because moving to have a cloud transformation project is not easy. You must have, I would say, you need a cloud foundation where you build all when it comes to compliance and security, CM, and all this. That is not easy. It's not about EUC project, because that's maybe a small portion of it, a delivery project down in the left or the right corner. Those project, cloud transformation, moving everything from on-prem to the cloud and all the data center to the cloud, that's a huge operation. That means executive has to be on board, has to have a good chunk of money, because that is not cheap. And how many people how many companies can do that? How fast can they do it? And do we have knowledge in the world? IT wise, do we have all the people we need on board with the right knowledge to do it? No. We are lacking the knowledge to do those huge, complex projects. And that's going to slow AI a little bit down, is my thought. I don't know what What's your opinion on it, this James? Dave?
Yeah, I actually found one of the topics. So Bjorn and I see Holly's on from here. She was there. Matt, he was also there at World of EUC. And one of the topics, the un the
Unconference.
unconference, right? The
Yeah.
open conference was around AI, and Brian Madden mentioned something. If you don't know Brian's, let's say he's a controversial, influential character. I don't know. I don't know how else to pronounce or describe it. He's got lots of opinions, right?
And extremely smart.
Yeah, and he's but he had some great thoughts on this around AI and how EUC can help it. And like Bjorn said, I have an AI Copilot Plus PC that I bought just recently, and I'm waiting for all the AI features to come this month. They're supposed to all be here in November, so crossing my fingers, maybe today, Patch Tuesday. I don't know. Anyway, he mentioned, the future could be running all of your AI workloads on a VDI inside of a hosted cloud environment, because right now, when I close my laptop, AI stops, right? I can't run any generation of anything when it's not running. So if I'm running an AI assisted application of some sort, whatever it might be, run that inside of your hosted, I'll call it VDI solution or DAS solution, whatever you want to call it. That could be the future. Today, that's not really a thing, or not a mainstream thing, but that's where the future could go. Right? We don't know for sure, but
no, I'm well aware of what Brian has been saying. In my spare time, I have an AI podcast, so Brian was guest on that, so we had a deep discussion on that. And yeah, so and he has some really interesting thoughts, and obviously there's been some aspects, Microsoft has had to roll back things like recall because of privacy and security concerns, and that is obviously a thing, especially if you think about in enterprises. Like they're not going to want a feature like that. You can just turn it off because the security team will never allow something like that. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's interesting where we are, I think, in terms of AI. I think from an EUC standpoint, we've always been at the forefront of technology. It's nothing new for us, and we always embrace it. And you always have to change and adapt. That has been, I think, that's what kept me in EUC all my working life, is because things change so much. Nothing stays the same. We always have new things coming on, and we're the same. I think at the moment in EUC, there's a couple of big things that are coming up. Obviously, AppFee's going end of life, as far as we know. There's been no. We have Windows 10 is going end of life, so there is a hell of a lot going on in EUC at the moment to kind of that challenges for companies, because there's a lot of people running hardware and stuff that runs Windows 10 that won't run Windows 11. So then do you look at a cloud solution and then you just have a dumb endpoint utilizing, iGel or what some other kind of thin OS type thing, and you use a cloud hosted desktop. So I think the thing about AI is yes, it's game changing and all that kind of stuff, but it kind of fits in with what we've always done, because it's cutting edge. We've always done cutting edge. So it doesn't scare me. I'm really excited by what it can do. But as I said, I like that. I still like that human element to it. And I think that will exist for a long, long time, unless, Skynet starts tomorrow. But at the moment, we're good. So yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges in EUC. I kind of, just to start wrapping things up, what your feelings are of what's going on in EUC. I think it's a really exciting time. There's a lot to look forward to. But there are some challenges that people are facing that they do need help with over the next couple of years. So, Dave, why don't you start on that one? Or Bjorn, if you've got something ready to go.
No, Dave, start. That's fine.
So I get the question is what are the challenges in the next couple of years?
Yeah, or what really excites you about the future?
Oh, like I
Of
mentioned, a lot of,
EUC, not the future in general, just more like focus on
yeah.
EUC.
Right. I'm looking forward to retiring. No, so yeah, around EUC.
Yeah, your boss
That's
doesn't
a
want to hear
long
that.
time from now. Around EUC, I really like how Citrix used to be hard. Like there was you would work tirelessly all day long to do all your things, and then provisioning services came out and MCS came out, right? And all these things, and then VMware came out with their versions of all that stuff, and then AVD came out, and it really didn't. And now it does with Nerdio. We have that capabilities of having that golden image, rolling out things, and now we've got integrations and partnerships with with Liquidware. You mentioned iGel. Obviously everybody here has to deal with Microsoft and our partnerships there, and they're coming along with different technologies where they have, and they see the value of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you look at obviously MSIX has been the thing. Microsoft have they've taken the decision that they needed some partners to help with that kind of MSIX adoption, and they've taken on ourselves, Omnissa and Numicent in that kind of sphere to kind of push that adoption, and because they're not quite there with MSIX, and customers need something now. So they've embraced partners, and that's I'm really excited by that. And obviously, we're recording this in November. Ignite is next week. So it's going to be. I think there's some good stuff coming along in that respect.
Yeah, that's the great thing that Microsoft, they let us as in vendors in the community, they let us help them out rather than just them buying us and then forgetting about us, because we're all little players in the market, but we're all very influential and important at the same time. And that's been the thing forever. Is like they could have bought Citrix, they could have bought VMware, they could have bought whoever, but they let us play there in the industry to help them out and help them get better, so they can focus on what they're good at. Let them catch up to where we're at, but we're always going to be a couple steps ahead.
Yeah. And for me, it's like I have two things that I'm really excited about when it comes to EUC going forward. AI or not AI is it, you can spend a ton of millions of dollars on IT if the users, the humans inside the organization, doesn't see the value and embrace it, it's like worthless. So DEX is like one of the biggest things. How people is using technology, how we can help user, how IT now should listen to what people has to say when it comes to what do I need to be efficient and smiling all day. Back in the days, we didn't talk to users. We were kind of scared. IT without the application and user was like heaven.
We gave them a lockdown desktop. We distributed their apps. We put proxies on every internet site known to man, and we said, "Here's your desktop, and you better not complain about it." And we control everything, and users don't accept that anymore. But that's how we used to all build Citrix desktops. We locked them down as much as possibly could. There was a prescribed set of apps. If you tried to access Facebook on that desktop, not a chance. You were getting blocked. You were done. Yeah, exactly.
Multimedia content.
The most used word was no. Can't be done.
Exactly.
No, not this month. Maybe next month or the month after. It's like the flexibility and the scalability and the ability to listen to what people want is the key factor. And the other one who is tightly connected to it, and you at Liquidware is doing a great job helping Microsoft, helping us at Nerdio when it comes to applications. Because at the end, humans use application to do their work and to generate value for the business. So people have to pay more attention to applications, how they is modernized, how they are increasing functionality, which can help the companies to grow and be more competitive and in the future. So applications for me is the two most important things. I don't know what if they call it MSIX or you call it Nerdio Endpoint Manager or AVD or whatever the vendor calls it. It's all about the human and the applications. At the end, that is the most important thing. What is called infrastructure-wise, people who is not like you, James, Dave, me, they don't even give a damn about what we call the technology, as long as they can click the icon, get the application up and running. If it's a personal VDI, is a persistent VDI, is it a physical PC, virtual app, install app, SaaS app, they don't give a yes. Yep. That is all about helping people to smile, get the job done, go home to the family, because family is way more important than work. So every single day in the week. But at least for me and most of my customers, though, I think. So that is my take on what I would like to see in end user computing going forward. Continue the next journey, how we can help people and paying more attention to applications and deliver those in a much more flexible and then IT will be the department who is compared to the movie. Yes.
I saw, I think it was a while ago that there was a LinkedIn post and someone said we should stop using the terms end user computing, and
Mark Templeton hated it because they are not drug addict, any of them. They are no. So I should. Sorry, Mark, if you ever listening to it. So I should say the humans in the organization, employees using applications. So yeah.
Yeah, no. But I think the one thing I've always said is, and you know, we talked about there how we used to be as IT departments, and now, you know, it's always stood for end user, but the user actually matters now. What the user thinks matters. Previously, you know, we didn't really care. We just delivered what we delivered, and if they didn't like it, they could go work somewhere else. But now it's becoming a component of, you know, why you make a job choice. You know, what technology stack do they use? Do I get a MacBook or whatever? You know, whatever so yeah, I think there's definitely been that shift, and it is very important that we do bring, you know, that whole user sentiment into everything we do, look, it's becoming a component of organizations are looking at DEX and going, well, this is actually one of the metrics we judge our company by now. So the importance is definitely growing, and obviously we've seen a lot of vendors in the move into the DEX space. So yeah, no, I agree. DEX is extremely important.
Yeah, user sentiment is you're right on that. You know, like I said, I bought my AI, my Copilot Plus PC, but my first day on the job here, I was up and running with everything that we needed because we're using AVD, right? It doesn't really matter what that endpoint is. I chose the one that I wanted because it's fun. When I was at Citrix, we had BYOPC. You could bring whatever you wanted to, because everything was available to us, right?
Yeah.
And so you have that good, the friendly IT, you know, giving you the choice of whatever. I know not every company does it that way.
Yeah,
but it's something.
Excellent. Well, guys, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to both of you. Yeah, as I said, I think we're in a really exciting time in EUC, and I'm really excited for the future and what further collaboration we do with yourselves at Nerdio. So thanks again. And thanks to everyone for watching and listening. And yeah, we'll see you on the next Liquidware Chats. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.